right? So maybe you put out a piece of content that just doesn't do so hot. Sometimes it's the channel, so you can kind of test it in different ways. But at the end of the day, bad content is not going to recreate good content generally. So it's really good to pay attention to how is this doing organically, both on social and, are people able to find this in different ways? And you can kind of take a look at that with a lot of your ungated content just by like YouTube views and blog views. You can kind of see what resonates and what doesn't. But I think, and we've made that mistake too, where, you repurpose content, you're like, this is it. I just know that this is a good piece of content. Put it out there, it's not, and you try a couple different things and you're beating a dead horse at some point.
Welcome to Future Fuzz, the digital marketing podcast.
Welcome into Future Fuzz, the digital marketing podcast. I'm Vince Quinn, and today we're talking about turning virtual touchpoints into revenue. And joining us for this conversation is Megan McDonagh, the Director of Revenue Marketing at Celigo. Megan, welcome to Future Fuzz.
Thank you. You pronounced my last name right too. I'm impressed.
Well, are you Scottish, Irish,
Irish,
Welsh?
Very Irish.
There you go.
How
Irish? I need to know percentages before we go anywhere else. I need percentages.
We could be here all day.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, I'm a mutt of the whole island system basically, and then half
Aren't
Italian.
we all?
So there you go. Yeah, right. We're all mutts. So let's dive into it first off for people that are not aware of Celigo. Just give us a little background of what Celigo is and the kind of work that you do there.
Yeah, definitely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I love doing this. So Celigo, for anyone that doesn't know, and if you're a marketer, you may not be in this space. So Celigo is an iPaaS. So, another fun acronym. It's Integration Platform as a Service. So essentially, we're an integration platform. We help your company with all the applications that you have, and most companies have anywhere from 5 or 6 if you're kind of like in that SMB space to hundreds if you're a larger enterprise, right? So we help all of your applications across all your business processes, because usually if you have like a quote to cash or any sort of business process, there's multiple applications. So we help those applications talk to each other. We make sure the data flows through correctly and everything runs smoothly. So it's definitely like an automation integration platform.
Yeah, and I love everything about that, because for me, I think automation is the greatest thing ever. I'm all about it. I have some automations myself, and it's one of those things. It's almost dangerous for me because I get in there, and then it's like I love untangling knots. You know what I mean? So I'm that guy. Like I was literally at a birthday party maybe 3 weeks ago where there was like 50 balloons in one giant knot, and I spent 20 minutes just untangling them. So
Wow.
I'm a nutcase. I'm an absolute crazy person. So I get it, and I see these automations. It's like, oh my God, to be able to connect all of these things together, like it's so exciting. Because the potential when it all works is like the most relieving feeling ever. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I never have to deal with this again, and things are so much better.
Yes, definitely. And you don't think about how little things can interrupt any type of flow or process. Like a really common one for us is if someone uses HubSpot and Salesforce. So in Salesforce, for us marketers, there's contacts and leads, right? But in HubSpot, there's just contacts. So even that minuscule detail can totally screw up your data if you're using both at the same time. So those are the types of things that we help people with.
And so for you on a marketing side, I mean, to be able to have all of these tools in-house, because so many people are like, oh my God, I would love to have this. Like how luxurious, dare I say, is it to have like all of those resources at your fingertips just day to day, because it's what you do?
So totally a double-edged sword, I think. We're very tool happy at Celigo because obviously we do integration, right? So we've got lots of tools, not just in marketing, but across all of our departments. And it's great because we have all of these things to make our lives easier. But then sometimes you feel like you have to be an expert in every single one. So you got to know HubSpot, and you got to know postcards if you're building HTML emails. You got to be a Goldcast expert if you're using like a webinar platform, things like that. So it's nice, and we've got a great team here where we have experts everywhere, which is great. But it's similar to things like AI where you feel like you have to keep up with everything. It can be a lot. So the nice thing about what we also offer to our target audience is IT, right? Because they're the ones managing the integrations mostly. But one of our big proof of concepts is collaboration with control. So IT has control over the integrations, but we give those teams autonomy to be able to run these processes on their own with IT's help. So it's kind of a nice deal there.
Yeah, so to get all of that together, and I know what you're saying too, with like almost overwhelm of, oh my God, there's all of these different tools and there's all these new things always being introduced, and being aware of them is one thing, but yeah, once you get to the point where you're testing all these, let me try this, let me try that, like you really do drive yourself crazy, and just don't go anywhere. I've wasted so much time. I can hours and days and weeks, just like, let me try out this AI and this AI and this thing.
Yep.
So simplicity ultimately, like you got to check in and out. But let's go back a little bit, because one of the things that's great about Celigo is just the amount of content that you make there. I mean, there is so much that you do. I know one of those main things is webinars. So just to get started there, because I think everybody on the planet right now, the same way everybody has a smartphone, everybody's running webinars. It's just the thing to do. So when you're getting started with webinars and figuring out what the next one is going to be, like how do you begin that process of planning out a webinar?
Good question. So we break out our marketing program into campaign programs. So we have like an overarching umbrella iPaaS program. That's kind of our main brand program. We also run programs against B2B, B2C that make more sense for that type of audience. And we're very strong in the NetSuite ecosystem. So we focus specifically on NetSuite end users. So those are kind of our core areas that we focus on programs in general, and then we've broken that out for webinars in a couple of different ways. So the platform that we use currently is called Goldcast. I could talk about it all day long because I love it so much. I came from a couple different companies that use Zoom and a couple other things, and while they're great tools, Goldcast has so much more to offer in terms of like a content lab where you can use AI to clip things and write your transcripts and add subtitles to clips and write your key takeaway emails. There's just so much more you can do with a webinar, because I think a lot of the time when companies do webinars, it's so much work. It's kind of a one and done deal. You do all this great content and then you move on to the next because there's so much going on. So one of the great things that we do here is we're able to use Goldcast to rinse and repeat content, to create additional content. So from the video format, we can then do something that's short form, like a blog, or maybe it's a video clip that we use in social, or maybe it's a demo that we put on YouTube, right? So we can slice and dice this content in so many different ways, which is great because a lot of the times you see companies just have the webinar and that's kind of it. Another thing that we've changed this year in using Goldcast is we're able to create series. So we have a couple different series. We're just launching a new one in a couple weeks called The Ins and Outs of Building AI Agents. And so at Celigo, we're building AI agents to aid in integration business processes. So it's really exciting because we're using it within our own company and we can showcase that AI agent in the webinar. So not just like a marketing use case, but hey, here's an actual way that we're doing something with an AI agent that's helping us as a company. So we're launching that as a series. And when you have a series page, you can allow for multi-registration. So we have 3 in this particular series coming up for the next 2 quarters. And it's great because someone can say, oh, I'm interested in the support ticket resolution one, but also the RevOps one. So you're allowing yourself, you send one email and you're able to allow that person to multi-register and you're not emailing them 3 times about one specific webinar. So those are 2 like major things that have changed for us for webinars and digital touchpoints. That's been really beneficial. We've seen a huge rise in registration, and then we're also able to slice and dice our content in different channels outside of a traditional webinar.
Yeah, well, it's so interesting. First off, shout out to our new unofficial sponsor, Goldcast. This show is brought to you by.
They might want to now.
Right? Call me, Goldcast. So, like, the thing that's so great about it that you touched on is the user experience element of just doing the webinar. Right? Like there's something to be said for, oh, I'm going to put in all of this work and then I try to use some platform and it doesn't work the way that we thought with streaming. Maybe it's not showing up if we're trying to do it on multiple platforms. It's not showing up where we want it to live stream. And then you get all these frustrations from people who showed up and it's such a nightmare that even if the concept is great and it's exactly what people need, that the terrible software will just ruin your experience and you'll never want to do it again. So yeah, to be
Totally.
as simple as possible with those platforms. I mean, it's a huge thing. I've seen that a lot with podcasting because
Yes.
sometimes people go on and they're like, "Oh my God, I tried this one platform and we recorded an episode and I lost the whole recording. They just lost it on the back end." And like, I don't want to call that person back. I'm too embarrassed to tell them that it's
Right.
gone. You know what I mean? So
Oh, yeah.
it's just like, it's a nightmare when you don't have a good platform to execute these things. So on some level, it's almost as important as the content itself, because it's the same thing for your users. I mean, like you mentioned, like to say, I can sign up for 3 different webinars at the same time from one email. I mean, what a relief for me as the audience for that, to just get all of that in one shot. My inbox is flooded all the time. I've got so many different things going on. It's exhausting to just get hammered by stuff in your email, even if you like it. You know, it just
Yes.
it burns you out.
Totally. The other thing we're doing that's been interesting, we're kind of testing out, is Goldcast has pages. So we created one specifically for our iPaaS program where it has additional content. So once you register for 1, 2, 3, whatever webinars you register, the redirect page is then this Goldcast page that we've put together to curate all this content that we think that target audience is going to be interested in. Whether it's gated or not gated is up to the company, but it's nice because you can have, short form video clips, you can have a link to an ebook, you can have all sorts of things on there that, I think people are very self-service. They are interested in a topic, they're going to Google it, they're going to chat GPT it, they're going to look up all this information before they go down into a sales cycle, but they want to know as much as they can. They want to do that self-research. So being able to provide all that content just at like a touch of a button is incredible. And that's not something that all webinar platforms offer. So it's a great tool.
Future Fuzz is sponsored by Salesforce, B2B pipeline management and sales growth for your business.
Yeah, and being able to put it in all of those different places. Because one of the things that I'm always talking to people about is it's the idea, for example, and again, going back to podcasting, because that's been my space, is like people say, oh, well, the podcast, I'm not getting the download numbers necessarily that I thought. But it's like, yeah, sure, maybe that is a thing. Agreed. But are you also considering that you are getting more posts up on your social media channels and people are consuming your show as short form? And you are repurposing this ideally into your newsletter and blog posts, and people are reading those things and going to your website or opening your emails more than they did before. So if you're not factoring in all of that, you're not actually appreciating the full value of what you're really doing. And that's what it's all about. It's the same message in all of these different places, and it's like you have maybe 7 different audiences for the same piece of content is really how it boils down. It's crazy.
Yeah. And if you can get someone to see something in different channels, that's even better too. Like, what's the old saying they used to say about TV commercials? Like, you have to see a TV commercial like 7 times before you buy something or whatever. It's the same kind of thing with marketing material, right? Maybe someone reads a blog, or, they download the Gartner Magic Quadrant to kind of compare different vendors on something. You're seeing things in different formats and people consume in different ways. So it's really important to show up in different channels, whether it's gated or ungated, especially now that we're in the age of AI and people are actually using ChatGPT and like answer engines to get more content. And the more quality content that you put out there, the more easy it is for someone to find you. So that's really important too.
Yeah, and when it comes to doing all of this repurposing, getting it on these different platforms, I mean, how do you plan all of that, right? Because I'm so busy. I'm just trying to make this event go. I just want this webinar to succeed. Like, when do I even begin to think about putting it into other places? How do you handle that over there at Celigo?
Good question. So we meet every week. We call it a program pulse meeting, where we talk about all the different activities we're doing and we dig into the data, right? So what's catching eyeballs versus what's converting, right? Where are opportunities? Where are people really engaging with our stuff? So it's a very, marketing's an art and a science. There's clearly a whole lot of math that goes into it that didn't used to be the case. So we're looking at numbers every day, and using different reporting tools has been really helpful. So one of those, I'm just plugging tools left and right. I guess that's just what I do. One of the tools that we use internally is called CalibreMind. And what I love about this tool is I can see a customer's journey. So I can see multiple touch points. So one thing that I know a lot of marketers struggle with is, are we a first touch? Are we lead source most recent? Like what are we giving credit to in terms of like a marketing campaign? And ideally you have like a multi-touch attribution system, but not everybody has that, right? So the great thing about CalibreMind is I can look at, especially if I'm looking at webinars in particular, because a lot of that is kind of like the gate into it, right? Like they start with a webinar or a blog, or maybe it's what I call like the dark web, where it's ungated material and we can't really count that, but they come in different ways, and we're able to see that in our reporting tool, all these different touch points. So you're not taking those numbers at face value where you're like, oh, this event or webinar did really, really well, and this event or webinar didn't do so well. If you look at the whole journey, you can see, okay, this was a part of like a 7 or 8 step touch. Like these are all important touch points for us to invest in. That way you're not just investing in one tool or one channel. You're really taking it more than face value and looking at different ways to do things. Because like you and I both just said, I mean, people consume in different ways, and there's so many different ways to consume content now.
Yeah, so you tell me that, because when you hear like 8 different touch points, right? For some people, they might be like, really, like 8? What does it mean? But cause from how I've experienced it, and you tell me, is like, okay, well, they saw something on LinkedIn and they followed you there, great. Then they heard about a webinar and then they checked that out, and then maybe they signed up for your newsletter and they didn't open it for 4 months, but then they finally did, and then they kept opening your a couple of times, and then they saw something there, and then they're like, oh, okay, now I'm going to go, and they place a call and they're a client, right? Like it's that kind of.
Because what we saw was a lot of our opportunities were from, free trial or demo requests. And it's like, oh, that's what we need to invest in. It's like, no, that was just their last touch point, right? They watched 3 webinars before that. They, in a lot of cases for us, since we're B2B, they may have come through a partner recommendation or something. So it's just, you got to look at all of those things working together, because it's not just one thing.
Yeah, so then, and that's why it's so important then to do all this repurposing, right? Because you're giving people different options to consume all of it. Once you've already caught their attention, then what are the other ways to just stay in their orbit, basically? Because they'll just forget. I mean, it's just, it could really be that simple and harmless of, I'm just pounded with different kinds of content every second of the day, and I just, I thought you were great. Totally forgot you existed, and that's it.
People are usually looking at a specific topic or trying to solve a problem. They're not necessarily looking like, oh, Celigo, I'm going to dive into all this content. It's more like, I have an integration problem. I'm going to look at some analyst stuff. I'm going to look at Gartner first. Oh, I'm going to look at G2 for some social proof when I'm comparing vendors. Oh, Celigo is the number one. Why is that? I'm going to look at reviews. Oh, I see someone posted about a webinar. I'm going to go check that out next. So it's just like, in that path of self-discovery, you have to have all these different, and it's hard to keep up with, it's right? It's a lot of channels you got to be in, but you have to be thinking like the consumer, like, how am I going to consume content? How do I go out and consume content? And how is my target market interacting with that type of content?
Yeah, so that's everything, to have all of that together and figuring out what, to have that steady stream of content hitting all of these different audiences, repurposing it again and again into all of these places. Like it's crazy. And when after you get to the point where you've done that for even 6 months, you can look back at the catalog and be like, oh my God, how much we've made this much stuff. Like you can't even, to organize and appreciate and recycle the quality stuff that you have that's still relevant almost in itself becomes a chore, because you've just made so many useful things in so many places and so many mediums. Like it's mind-boggling.
It is. And in a similar vein, I've also learned not to repurpose content that doesn't organically do well, right? So maybe you put out a piece of content that just doesn't do so hot. Sometimes it's the channel, so you can kind of test it in different ways, but at the end of the day, bad content is not going to recreate good content generally. So it's really good to pay attention to how is this doing organically, both on social and, are people able to find this in different ways? And you can kind of take a look at that with a lot of your ungated content, just by like YouTube views and blog views. You can kind of see what resonates and what doesn't. But I think, and we've made that mistake too, where, you repurpose content, we're like, this is it. I just know that this is a good piece of content. Put it out there, it's not, and you try a couple different things, and you you're beating a dead horse at some point. So it's really good to like check in with yourself, have third parties take a look. Like we'll get opinions from partners or, internally our team is really good about getting feedback from each other. Like, hey, do you think this would resonate? And we're all pretty honest with each other. So it's good to, on the flip side, do that as well.
Yeah, you definitely need to do that because I can't tell you the amount of time. So I used to be in sports radio before I got into podcasting and marketing.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I did 10 years in sports radio. I was a host for 5. And the number of times where I'd go in and be like, I've got such a good show today. Like this take is going to light up the airways. I'm going to be killing it today. And then like crickets, So
yes.
yeah, like,
totally.
It's just
I'm sure all your stuff was good. What are you talking about?
Oh, that's right. The greatest show of all time. There's no doubt about it. I'm in the Hall of Fame. That's why I retired so early. I was like, it's not worth it. But it's a terrible industry. Don't go into. If anybody's ever considering sports radio, don't do it. Don't do it. It's not worth it. The time has passed. Go. Do something else. But anyway, I do want to go back a little bit because one of the things that you mentioned a little bit earlier that I absolutely love about the work that you've done at Celigo is the newsletter. And the newsletter is fantastic. And the reason why I say this, for those of you listening that have not seen Celigo's newsletter, particularly on LinkedIn is how I experienced it.
Yes.
But the great thing was you have so many different sections in this newsletter. And for each kind of thing that you're covering, these different talking points that you have, there's a piece of content that's attached to that. And it's, hey, here's this webinar that you can check out that we did. Here's this video that we have. Here's a blog post that we have on the website. And like everything is linking back to something else. It's all this surface level thing that can become a deeper dive. And to see that structured out that way so thoroughly was just like, this is awesome. Like it's just so smooth. It's so clear. Like I think it's a literal aspiration. Like people should be aiming for that kind of newsletter. It's just so clean.
I love that you said that. That's great. I'm going to tell Andrea on my team all the things you just said. That's great. She actually started it. It's called Integration Bits. We host it on LinkedIn, which we've tried a couple different newsletters. Like we do like a partner one through our email platform called HubSpot. I think email is just a tough place right now just because a lot of times it's where stuff goes to die, right? You just scroll through, you delete all the things you don't need and you move on to the next. So with LinkedIn, we're able to, whoever subscribes, and we like launched it with all of our Celigo followers. We have almost 70,000 followers. We were able to get lots of subscribers and we're able to send like notifications. And then we just put together things that we think anyone on an integration journey is going to enjoy, whether they're a Celigo customer, a partner, or someone that's just starting to explore iPaaS vendors. So we'll do like a customer or partner spotlight. We keep it pretty short just because you don't want to be sitting there scrolling through all these sections. So we try to keep those sections short, but we do highlight a couple webinars that we're doing. A lot of our ungated content on our website is under this section called Builders Hub. It's specifically for like our builder community. You can go in there. There's tons of short form content, including videos, quick hits that you can just go in and grab, which is great because I think integration in itself isn't the sexiest topic. It's also pretty complicated. So it's nice to go in and grab exactly what you need when you need it.
Yeah, it's what it's all about. So, I mean, looking at all this again, just like such an impressive depth of content, everything that you're making. I think just is it iPaaS? What was the acronym of
iPaaS? See, got it.
iPaaS. Yeah. See, I think that's one I learned a new word.
You're gonna be
today.
An expert now.
I know. I'm gonna start wearing glasses. I
love it.
I'm a whole new guy. But yeah, I think it's just been such a great conversation. Admired everything, like I said, with Celigo from afar. So to get you on here, be able to talk about it, really appreciate your time. And so, Megan, for everybody that's been listening, what is the best way to get in touch?
Probably on LinkedIn. You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find Celigo on LinkedIn. Also our website. I'll include a link in show notes that you can include for our AI webinar series if anyone wants to take a look at how we set up the series page, if that's helpful. But yeah, I think LinkedIn's probably the best.
Great. All right. Well, Megan, thank you again so much for being on the show, and we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for tuning in and making the choice to listen to this podcast. If you liked what you've heard today, please don't forget to subscribe.